Hey everyone, and welcome to Patch of the Week. This month we're changing it up a little bit and using the Korg minilogue XD to recreate some classic movie and TV show patches that you can follow along at home. And this is going to be a Blade Runner style patch, kind of similar to a CS80 sound that Vangelis would have used on the Blade Runner soundtrack. So we're going to start with a initialized program. I have pulled up a blank program and it's just going to start with a saw wave, and it's gated so it's only on or off. So we're going to bring in some release and attack for the amplifier envelope. So we're going to have a nice fade in and a little bit of a trail off at the end of a note. And that's the beginning of kind of any pad that we would create on a synth like this. And we want to bring in some of that really nice analog unison. So we have more than one saw wave going at once. We're going to turn up VCO1 and VCO2 in the mixer. And the great thing about minilogue XD is that it's VCO analog instead of digitally controlled oscillators. These are real voltage controlled analog oscillators, just like Vangelis would have had on the synth that he used to create the music from Blade Runner originally. So those together sound like this. So without that second oscillator, and with that second oscillator, but we really want to get some of that nice analog imperfection in there, so we're going to slightly detune. And we're going to kind of fake that even more by adding in some intensity on the LFO and targeting the pitch. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go into Program Edit and scroll to LFO target oscillator, just VCO2. Exit out of that. Now our LFO is only modulating the pitch of our second VCO. We want to put that on triangle, normal speed, turn the speed almost all the way down, and bring the intensity up ever so slightly. So that's going to create a little bit of motion between our two oscillators in unison, and that's going to give us kind of that classic analog VCO beating against each other that the oscillators on really old analog polysynths would do back when tuning wasn't perfect. So now that we have our VCOs running in unison, we want to add just a tiny bit of filter motion. So we're going to target the cutoff with the envelope generator and bring the intensity up a little bit. Put the attack about the same as the attack on the amp envelope, and bring the decay kind of to the middle to start out, and we might change that as we go along. Now as we bring the cutoff down, the intensity is going to show. If we bring up the intensity on here, and the cutoff down here, our notes really start to pop. When we press a key, we see the amp envelope is fading up the volume of the note, but the envelope generator is also fading up the cutoff of the note, and the amount of that is determined by the envelope generator intensity knob right here. So now we want to bring in a little bit of modulation effect, so I'm going to turn it to the mod engine and switch to, let's go with chorus. And let's turn the time down because we want this to be a very slow, wide chorus, and bring up the depth slowly and you'll be able to hear that. So now that we have a little bit of chorus on there, let's switch to reverb. And we're going to want a really big spacey reverb. So let's choose smooth reverb type and bring the time up really high. And the depth too. Now one thing that we haven't done so far is used any sustain. We want to be able to hold a note down and have the amp sustain. So let's bring that up to about 2/3 of the way and see what we get. Let's make our decay a little longer so that the time it takes for the cutoff to decay back down from the envelope generator is a little longer. That's starting to sound pretty vintage. So let's just play a little.